Hi again everyone. I hope you enjoyed my last video. If you haven't seen that, please go back and watch that because it will explain why I'm doing this, the background for me. I'll link it down below. So I thought I'd start today talking about, I've had to do some research obviously on ADHD, some of the things I've found. I'm sure you can do some further reading yourself. But there are basically three types of ADHD. There's primarily hyperactive and impulsive ADHD. There's primarily inattentive ADHD, which used to be known as ADD, attention deficit disorder, without the hyperactive. I do think that's the type that I have, because I was never hyperactive as a child or as an adult, and it is harder when you have this type to be diagnosed, and it's also interestingly the type that girls get a lot more than boys, so I suppose there's interesting points around that, and there's also the combined type of ADHD, which is, as I understand it, a mixture of both. So they primarily hyperactive and impulsive type, you are constantly moving and squirming and fidgeting and talking a lot, and in children they're more easily diagnosed because they're hyperactive and jumping around, and that's what happens as children. I think the hyperactivity seems to decrease as they get older, but the ADHD is still there. For me, the most interesting is primarily inattentive, in that it's someone who makes mistakes, silly mistakes, has difficulty paying attention, has a weak memory, kind of forgets things easily, is disorganized and maybe messy, some people might call it, and is easily distracted. And I think that's what best describes my symptoms, I think. And then the combined type is with 6 or more symptoms of inattention, or 6 or more symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity. So yeah, I think to be diagnosed as ADHD, you have to have shown some of those symptoms before you're age 12. It is a condition that comes on in childhood, but yeah, it's something that leads to kind of undue frustration and apathy, and I think feelings of shame and misdiagnosis. It also leads to misdiagnosis, I think, of anxiety and depression. So it's something, I suppose, for people to watch out for. A certain amount, a certain percentage of people, perhaps who have anxiety or depression, may have ADHD. So if you feel like you fit into any of those categories, or you may have been misdiagnosed, please talk to your GP, your physician if you're in the US. Get a referral to a psychologist who can diagnose you properly. I know in Ireland it's quite a difficult topic. It's under-resourced, so some of the symptoms of ADHD generally are impulsiveness, kind of doing things quickly on a whim, making quick decisions on things, disorganization and problems prioritizing, which is certainly something I've experienced in the past, both kind of in my personal life, and I hate doing admin tasks and paying my bills and insurance, and it's difficult. I have control of it to a certain extent, and I know there are certainly people who will be far worse off than me, and I'm cognizant of that. Poor time management skills is another area. I've had to work on that. I tend to be okay nowadays. Certainly in my earlier days I wouldn't have been good. Problems focusing, focusing on a certain task. Again, like I spoke about yesterday, focusing on assignments in college, focusing on studying, I always had problems with that. Trouble multitasking. I'm sure the females out there will say that all men have this symptom. But I think, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Excessive activity or restlessness is certainly something a lot of people again can relate to, but it is a symptom of ADHD. Again, poor planning, poor time management, I think they're all linked. A low frustration tolerance, which is something I certainly suffer from, and things do get on top of me perhaps quicker than for other people. Frequent mood swings. I'm not perhaps best placed to comment on that, but some of my friends or family may agree. Problems following through and completing tasks, again, I suppose they're all linked. Would certainly be, I would relate to from years gone by in work and personal life. Trying to meet deadlines and do things, plan to get things done is difficult. Kind of having a short fuse apparently is another symptom. And again, trouble coping with stress, which again, I think a lot of people have these days with COVID, etc. But I've certainly found it recently, and I think that's what brought me to where I am, to diagnosis and hopefully to some resolutions. So yeah, there are some of the symptoms. If you have any of those, certainly take a look into it and research more. But yeah, I suppose my experience, as I've been talking about, recently this is day 2 of me taking Ritalin as prescribed. As I said yesterday, don't think I felt a huge kind of uptake in my mood or my ability to concentrate a little bit, perhaps. I wasn't sure if it was placebo. Today I definitely did have an increase in motivation. I actually had a very busy day in work, and I was definitely able to concentrate better. Still not 100%, I would say. From a baseline of maybe 50%, I've got up to maybe 70%, so not quite there, but hopefully it takes a little bit of time for it to kick in. The side effects I talked about yesterday, the stomach issues and nausea, I didn't really have today, thankfully, so hopefully they're managed. I did have lightheadedness this morning, but again it decreased during the day, so I'm fine now. I slept okay last night, which I was happy about because I was a little bit apprehensive. There are stories of people not being able to sleep, but I think if you take the dose early enough in the morning, it is worn out by the time you get to sleep, so I was okay in that regard. But yeah, it's certainly, my expectation versus the reality is very different. I think I had this image of like the limitless pill that would open my brain and I'd be, focusing on everything and getting everything done really quickly. But yeah, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. We'd all love that. But I think in the long run, I'm definitely seeing some improvements. Hopefully they'll increase over the coming days, and I'll keep you posted. Please keep following here, comment down below and tell me your experiences. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe, follow along, hit the notification bell to make sure you know when I post. I'm going to try and post every day for a few weeks until I let people know what it's like, and thereafter perhaps weekly, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for following along, thanks for watching. We'll chat to you again soon.